Crusading literature, myths and stories of holy war. Introduction: the power of storytelling in the Crusades. The Crusades were not only military and religious campaigns but also powerful sources of inspiration for medieval literature. Crusading literature, encompassing chronicles, epic poems, romances, and theological treatises, helped shape how these events were perceived and remembered. Through these texts, the ideals, myths, and legends of holy war were transmitted across Europe, influencing medieval culture and leaving a lasting literary legacy. Chapter 1: Chronicles of the Crusades. Historical accounts. The Crusades were chronicled by contemporary historians, often blending fact with glorified narratives. These texts were written to inspire, justify, and document the crusading effort, serving both religious and political purposes. Western chroniclers. Fulcher of Chartres. A participant in the First Crusade, Fulcher's Historia Hieronymatana provided one of the earliest detailed accounts of the campaign. His work celebrated the Crusaders as agents of divine will, framing their victories as evidence of God's favor. William of Tyre. A 12th-century historian and archbishop, William of Tyre wrote a history of deeds done beyond the sea, chronicling the establishment and struggles of the Crusader states. His sophisticated Latin prose offered both a record of events and a reflection on the political and religious challenges of the era. Geoffrey of Villehardouin. A knight and eyewitness to the Fourth Crusade, Villehardouin's The Conquest of Constantinople recounted the controversial events leading to the sack of Constantinople in 1204. His work offered a justification for the Crusaders' actions while revealing internal divisions among the crusading forces. Eastern perspectives. Anna Komnene. The Byzantine princess Anna Komnene's Alexiad provided a rare Eastern Christian perspective on the First Crusade. She portrayed the Crusaders as both allies and threats, emphasizing Byzantine distrust of their Western counterparts. Ibn al-Khalanisi and Usama ibn Munkid. Muslim chroniclers like Ibn al-Khalanisi and Usama ibn Munkid offered insights into the Crusades from the Islamic perspective. Their works highlighted the brutality of the Crusaders while also admiring their courage and discipline. Chapter 2: Epic Poetry and the Mythologizing of Crusaders. The Crusades inspired a wave of epic poetry that transformed historical events into larger-than-life legends. These works celebrated the heroism of knights and the sanctity of their mission, creating enduring myths about holy war. Western epics. The Song of Roland. Although predating the Crusades, the Song of Roland became a popular text during the crusading era. Its portrayal of a heroic Christian knight battling Muslim forces resonated deeply with the Crusaders' mission, reinforcing themes of faith, loyalty, and sacrifice. The Chanson d'Antioche. This epic poem recounted the First Crusade's siege of Antioch, blending historical events with romanticized depictions of knightly valor and divine intervention. It portrayed the Crusaders as champions of Christendom, guided by God to achieve miraculous victories. Islamic heroic literature. While the Islamic world produced fewer epic poems directly related to the Crusades, the concept of jihad was woven into existing literary traditions. Works like Sirat al-Zahir Baybars celebrated Muslim leaders who resisted the Crusaders, creating their own heroic narratives. Chapter 3: Romanticizing the Crusades. The Crusades heavily influenced the medieval romance genre, intertwining themes of chivalry, courtly love, and religious devotion. Crusading romances. The tale of King Arthur and the Grail Quest. The Arthurian legends, particularly the Grail Quest, drew inspiration from crusading ideals. Knights like Sir Galahad and Sir Perceval embodied the virtues of purity, bravery, and devotion, mirroring the spiritual aspirations of the Crusaders. Crusading knights in romance. Works such as the Romance of Richard the Lionheart and the Tale of Godfrey of Bouillon mythologized real Crusader leaders. These texts presented them as paragons of chivalry, blending historical events with fictional adventures. Themes of cross-cultural encounters. Some romances explored the complexities of cross-cultural interactions during the Crusades. For instance, The King of Tars depicted a fictionalized Christian-Muslim romance, reflecting both fascination with and anxiety about cultural and religious exchanges. Chapter 4: Theological and Didactic Literature. The Crusades also inspired theological and didactic works that sought to justify holy war and reinforce religious orthodoxy. Papal decrees and sermons. Pope Urban II's call to crusade. Urban's speech at the Council of Clermont, while not recorded verbatim, was widely disseminated through written accounts. Chroniclers like Robert the Monk framed it as a divine mandate, emphasizing the spiritual rewards of participating in the Crusades. Bernard of Clairvaux's crusade preaching. Bernard's letters and sermons, particularly during the Second Crusade, articulated the theological rationale for holy war. He portrayed the crusade as a sacred duty, promising salvation to those who took up the cross. Instructional texts. De Laudi Novi Militiae, in praise of the new knighthood, written by Bernard of Clairvaux. This treatise praised the Knights Templar as exemplars of Christian knighthood. It combined martial valor with monastic discipline, offering a model for crusaders to emulate. Crusade handbooks. Practical texts such as manuals on pilgrimage and warfare provided guidance for crusaders. These works blended spiritual advice with practical instructions, ensuring that participants were prepared for both the physical and spiritual challenges of the Crusades. Chapter 5. Satirical and critical perspectives. Not all crusading literature glorified holy war. Some writers offered satirical or critical perspectives, highlighting the human failings and moral ambiguities of the Crusades. Satirical accounts. Walter Map's Tales of Clerical Corruption. Walter Map, a 12th-century cleric, included satirical critiques of Crusader leaders and the Church in his writings. His stories exposed greed, hypocrisy, and incompetence among crusading figures. Fabliaux and popular humor. Satirical poems and stories circulated among the lower classes, mocking the excesses and failures of the Crusades. These works often portrayed crusaders as naive or self-serving, challenging the idealized image of holy warriors. Moral critiques. William of Tyre's Reflections. While supportive of the crusading cause, William of Tyre critiqued the internal divisions and moral failings of the Crusaders. His balanced account emphasized the need for unity and virtue in achieving success. Dante's Divine Comedy. In the Divine Comedy, Dante Alighieri subtly critiqued the Crusades by placing corrupt clergy and unworthy crusaders in hell. His work reflected growing disillusionment with the movement's moral failures. Chapter 6. The Enduring Legacy of Crusading Literature. The Crusades in later European literature. Crusading themes continued to inspire European writers long after the medieval period. Works such as Torquato Tasso's Jerusalem Delivered, 1581, reimagined the Crusades through the lens of Renaissance ideals, blending historical events with poetic grandeur. The Crusades in modern memory. Crusading literature remains a rich source for historical and literary study. Modern interpretations of Crusader myths and stories, from Chapter 7, Crusading Literature and Cross-Cultural Perspectives. While most crusading literature was written by Western authors for a Western audience, cross-cultural encounters during the Crusades also inspired narratives and accounts from the Islamic world and beyond. These texts provide valuable insights into how the Crusades were viewed outside Europe and reveal the broader cultural impact of these conflicts. Islamic perspectives on the Crusades. Islamic literature offers a rich counterpoint to Western crusading narratives, documenting the experiences of Muslim communities during the invasions. Chroniclers and historians. Ibn al-Qalanisi, a contemporary of the First Crusade, Ibn al-Qalanisi recorded the Crusaders' arrival in the Levant and the subsequent battles. His work highlights the devastation inflicted on Muslim cities and the resilience of Islamic rulers in resisting the invaders. Ibn al-Athir. In his comprehensive The Complete History, Ibn al-Athir chronicled the Crusades from a Muslim perspective, emphasizing the heroism of leaders like Saladin and the broader context of jihad against the Crusaders. Usama ibn Munkid. Usama's Book of Contemplation provides a unique, personal perspective on the Crusades. While critical of the Crusaders' brutality, he also admired their courage and chronicled moments of cross-cultural exchange and mutual respect. Themes in Islamic literature. Heroic resistance. Islamic literature often portrayed leaders like Saladin as paragons of chivalry and wisdom, Saladin's reconquest of Jerusalem in 1187 was celebrated as a moment of divine justice and a model of righteous leadership. Moral reflections. Islamic authors frequently framed the Crusades as a test of the Muslim community's faith and unity. They criticized internal divisions and called for greater solidarity in the face of external threats. Cultural encounters. Texts like Usama ibn Munkada's writings reveal a nuanced view of the Crusaders, acknowledging both the cultural differences and shared humanity of the two civilizations. Byzantine perspectives on the Crusades.